The silver ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its crystalline surface catching the morning sunlight in dazzling patterns. People gathered in the streets of cities worldwide, eyes turned skyward as humanity experienced its first official contact with alien life. In the United Nations Plaza in New Seoul, a special delegation waited nervously, led by Ambassador Kim, a composed man with streaks of gray in his dark hair. The ship settled gently on the landing pad, making almost no sound despite its massive size. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then a seam appeared in the smooth hull, widening into a doorway from which a ramp extended to touch the ground. 3 figures emerged. The tallest stood nearly 8 feet, with silvery skin that reflected the sunlight like polished metal. Beside this being walked a shorter, 4-armed entity with iridescent scales, and finally, a hunched figure wrapped in flowing robes that concealed most of its features. "Welcome to Earth," Ambassador Kim said, stepping forward with a respectful bow. "We are honored by your presence." The silver being inclined its head. "I am Tae, voice of the Galactic Council. We come in peace and with an invitation." News cameras captured the historic moment as hands, human and alien, clasped in greeting. Within hours, the images had reached every corner of the planet. In the diplomatic chamber, Ambassador Kim sat across from the aliens, joined by Earth's security chief, Admiral Park, and chief scientist, Dr. Sunday. The initial pleasantries had given way to the real purpose of the visit. "The Galactic Council extends formal invitation to Earth to join our community of worlds," Tae explained, voice melodic despite the translation device. "Humanity has achieved the necessary technological benchmarks." Kim nodded. "This is a historic day for our people. We are eager to learn about the conditions for membership." The atmosphere in the room changed subtly. The aliens exchanged glances. "There is a primary condition," Tae said carefully. "Humans must be forbidden from participating in any interspecies conflicts." Admiral Park leaned forward. "You want us to disarm?" "No," replied the scaled being, introducing itself as Min. "You may maintain your military for internal matters. But humans cannot serve as soldiers in conflicts beyond your system." "That seems unusual," Kim said. "Is this standard for all new members?" "It is not," admitted Tae. "It is specific to your species." The meeting continued for hours, the human delegation growing increasingly confused. Their planet, only recently unified after decades of climate crises and resource wars, hardly seemed a military threat to a galactic civilization. With respect, Kim finally said, "We need to understand why this restriction exists. Humans are physically weaker than many species we've just seen in your records. Our technology is centuries behind yours." The aliens fell silent. Then the robed figure, who had not spoken until now, moved forward. Its hood fell back slightly, revealing ancient eyes set in a face of folded gray skin. "I am June of the Witness Collective," it said in a voice like rustling leaves. "I have observed 17,000 years of galactic history." June placed a small device on the table. It projected a holographic star map into the air between them. 300 Earth years ago, a human vessel entered this region of space, June said, indicating a system at the edge of the map. "A sleeper ship, pre-FTL technology. The Pathfinder." Kim exchanged surprised glances with his colleagues. "That mission was lost. We assumed it was destroyed by natural phenomena." "It was not," June said quietly. "It encountered the Gene Empire, then the most powerful military force in the sector." The hologram shifted, showing the bulky form of Earth's early exploration vessel approached by sleek warships. "What happened to our people?" asked Dr. Sun, her voice barely above a whisper. "They were boarded after refusing to surrender," said June. "The Gene expected an easy victory against a primitive species." The ancient being's eyes closed briefly. What followed changed galactic military doctrine forever. Tae cleared his throat. "The Council has debated revealing this information. It is classified at the highest level." "We have the right to know our own history," Kim insisted. The aliens conferred quietly, then June nodded. "Yes. Before you join us, you should understand what the rest of the galaxy already knows about humans." The holographic projector changed to show a data crystal. These are complete records of the encounter, and the reason for our caution. Are you prepared to see why galactic law must forbid humans from fighting wars? The human delegation exchanged solemn looks, then Ambassador Kim nodded. We are ready. The holographic projector hummed to life. The diplomatic room darkened as images formed in the air. Ambassador Kim and his team leaned forward, watching as the past materialized before them. The recording showed Earth's exploration vessel Pathfinder drifting near an uninhabited star system. The ship looked primitive compared to the Council's technology, a cylindrical core with rings of frozen habitation modules, designed for the long journey through space. This footage comes from Gene Empire battle records, explained June. Their fleet discovered your ship while on routine patrol. 3 massive warships approached the Pathfinder. Each was shaped like a crescent moon, bristling with weapons. The Gene ships dwarfed the human vessel, making it look like a toy beside giants. The Gene were curious about this unknown species, continued Min. They attempted communication first. The recording showed energy beams scanning the Pathfinder. Lights began to appear on the human ship as systems reactivated. The sleeper ship had reached its programmed destination and was beginning to wake its crew. 50 humans, said Tay. Scientists and explorers, not soldiers. The Gene ships surrounded the Pathfinder. A voice spoke in an alien language, translated by subtitles for the human delegation. Unknown vessel, you have entered Gene space. Prepare for boarding and inspection. The Pathfinder's response came after a long pause. This is Captain Lee of Earth vessel Pathfinder. We are a peaceful exploration mission. Please identify yourselves. More messages were exchanged, but misunderstandings quickly mounted. The Gene, impatient and suspicious of the unfamiliar ship, launched boarding pods. What follows changed how the galaxy views humans forever, June said quietly. The recording switched to footage from inside the Pathfinder. The human crew, just awakened from cryosleep, looked confused and weak. Captain Lee, a short woman with determination in her eyes, organized her people quickly. We have unknown hostiles boarding, she told her crew. We are outmatched in every way. Our priority is to protect Earth. They must not learn our home location. The Gene boarders burst through airlocks, massive reptilian warriors in advanced armor, carrying weapons that made Earth's firearms look like toys. They expected no resistance from the primitive species. They were wrong. The humans fought with shocking intensity. Though physically weaker and technologically outmatched, they used the ship's environment in ways the Gene never anticipated. Engineer Park sacrificed himself by venting sections of the ship into space, taking dozens of Gene soldiers with him. Communications Officer Moon reprogrammed food synthesizers to create caustic chemicals. Navigator Yang used zero-gravity training to outmaneuver the heavily armored Gene in the ship's corridors. Watch how they adapt, said Min, pointing to the hologram. Each time the Gene change tactics, the humans respond with new approaches. This level of battlefield innovation is extremely rare. The most disturbing footage showed Dr. Hyun, the ship's physician. Cornered in the medical bay, she used her knowledge of anatomy to target weak points in Gene armor. When her makeshift weapons ran out, she infected herself with a modified virus and allowed herself to be captured, becoming a biological weapon. 28 hours, said Tay. The Gene expected the ship to be secured in minutes. After more than a day, half the human crew still fought. The recording showed Captain Lee, bleeding from multiple wounds, making her way to the engine room. Gene forces had control of most of the ship now. The few surviving humans were making their final stand. Pathfinder's last transmission, said June, as a scratchy audio played. This is Captain Lee of Earth. To whoever finds this record, we came in peace. Remember us. Her voice was calm despite the sounds of fighting in the background. The Gene camera showed her reaching the fusion reactor controls. She looked directly at the recording device and smiled, an expression that sent chills through the watching human delegation. For Earth, she said, and pressed her bloody hand against the emergency overload panel. The recording ended in static. June's ancient face showed rare emotion. 3 Gene warships destroyed. Over 2,000 elite warriors lost to a crew of 50 humans who had just awakened from cryosleep. The lights in the diplomatic room slowly brightened. The human delegation sat in stunned silence. The Gene Empire, previously the most feared military power in the sector, immediately requested peace talks with the Council, Tay explained. They turned over all records of the encounter and demanded a quarantine of the region of space where they found your ship. One encounter with humans changed the galaxy's most aggressive species into advocates for peace, said Min. Ambassador Kim found his voice at last. What happened to the Pathfinder's data? Did they discover Earth's location? No, said June. Your Captain Lee destroyed all navigational records before the end. The secret of your homeworld remains safe for 2 more centuries. The ancient alien leaned forward. Now do you understand why the galaxy has rules about humans and warfare? The diplomatic room remained silent for several long moments after the recording ended. Ambassador Kim stared at the space where the hologram had been, his mind struggling to process what he had just witnessed. After the Pathfinder incident, Tay continued, activating another projection, the Council formed a special research team to understand human combat capabilities. The new hologram showed various alien scientists in laboratory settings. Diagrams of human anatomy rotated in the air, nervous systems, muscle structures, and brain scans highlighted with pulsing colors. Han, the Council's chief xenobiologist, stepped forward. She was a small being with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors slightly as she moved. Most sentient species evolved from either prey animals or specialized hunters, she explained, gesturing to comparative anatomical charts. Humans are different, you evolved as persistence predators. The projection showed early humans on Earth's savannas, pursuing animals to exhaustion. This gave your species unique adaptations, Han continued. Your cooling system, sweating, allows continuous physical exertion. Your skeletal structure absorbs impact damage. Your digestive system processes varied food sources. Dr. Sun leaned forward. These are basic human traits. How does this relate to warfare? Han displayed brain scans next. This is where humans truly differ. Under extreme stress, most species experience cognitive decline. Humans show a different pattern. The scan showed neural activity increasing under stress conditions. Your fight or flight response improves combat performance. Adrenaline increases strength and pain tolerance. Blood flow prioritizes muscle groups needed for survival. Admiral Park nodded slowly. Basic survival mechanisms. Many species must have similar systems. Not like this, Han said, her skin darkening with emphasis. You remain functional despite injuries that would incapacitate other sentient beings. The projection changed to footage from historical Earth conflicts, soldiers continuing to fight despite severe wounds, protecting companions even at great personal cost. Military strategist A, a tall being with metallic features, stepped forward. Most concerning is human unpredictability. Your sacrificial behaviors cannot be modeled by our most advanced systems. He displayed battle simulations with probability trees. All rational species retreat when defeat is certain. Humans often do not. You become more dangerous when victory seems impossible. The hologram showed scenes from the Pathfinder, the ship's doctor deliberately infecting herself, the engineer venting compartments while still inside them. You call it heroism, said Day. The galaxy calls it terrifying. Min gestured to another display showing psychological profiles. Humans possess extreme adaptability. You intuitively understand enemy psychology and exploit it. We term this combat empathy, a paradoxical ability to connect with those you're fighting. Ambassador Kim frowned. You feared us because we're willing to sacrifice ourselves? We feared you, June corrected gently, because you're willing to sacrifice yourselves to ensure your enemies are destroyed as well. This is vanishingly rare among evolved species. The hologram shifted to display a timeline of Council observations of Earth. After the Pathfinder incident, Tay explained, the Council voted to monitor your planet. We watched your world wars with growing concern. Images of Earth's conflicts flashed by, tanks rolling across countryside, ships burning in harbors, aircraft dropping bombs. Then we observed something remarkable, June said. Your species began to change. The timeline continued, the United Nations forming, peace treaties, international cooperation growing despite setbacks. The climate crisis that threatened your civilization 50 years ago was your turning point, said Han. When faced with planetary extinction, humans unified in ways we never predicted. The display showed the global climate accords, the shared resource pact, the dismantling of nuclear arsenals. This is why we're here now, Tay explained. Your species has achieved the wisdom to join galactic society. But the combat abilities that evolved over millions of years remain in your biology. Admiral Park looked thoughtful. If humans are as dangerous as you suggest, why invite us to join you at all? Why not simply avoid our system? June's ancient eyes regarded the humans carefully. Because there are threats in this galaxy that even the Council struggles to face. The void hegemony has expanded from the galactic rim for centuries, machine intelligences with no concept of mercy. The final projection showed massive, geometric ships consuming entire worlds. We need human strategic thinking, Day admitted. But we cannot risk unleashing human combat potential without strict controls. Ambassador Kim exchanged glances with his team. You want our minds but fear our instincts. Yes, said June simply. The question now is whether humanity can accept these terms, to join us as advisors and strategists, but never as warriors. The humans sat in silence, digesting the strange compliment and restriction contained in the aliens' analysis of their species. Dr. Sun finally spoke. How can we prove that we're ready for this responsibility? Tay's silver features formed what might have been a smile. We were hoping you would ask that. 3 weeks after the revelations about the Pathfinder, Ambassador Kim found himself on a council observation vessel at the edge of the Centauri sector. He stood with his small team on the command deck, watching stars streak past through the viewscreen. Dr. Sun studied alien star charts with fascination while Admiral Park discussed propulsion systems with the ship's engineers. We're approaching the observation post, announced Captain Hyo, the silver-skinned officer commanding the vessel. The hegemony has been active in this region for the past 30 cycles. Kim nodded, still adjusting to the idea that humanity was being invited to witness an ongoing galactic conflict. The council ship slowed as they arrived at a space station orbiting a barren moon. The structure was massive but nearly invisible against the darkness, its surface absorbed light rather than reflected it. Welcome to Outpost Sentinel, said Hyo as they docked. This facility monitors hegemony movements in 3 sectors. Inside the station, aliens from dozens of species worked at monitoring stations. At the center stood Strategic Commander Bo, a tall being with crystalline features who greeted the human delegation formally. You will observe but not participate, Bo instructed, leading them to a raised platform overlooking the command center. The Council wishes you to understand the nature of our conflict. On the main display, a representation of space showed Council territories in blue and hegemony expansion in red. The red had been steadily growing for centuries. The void hegemony is not organic, explained Bo. They are self-replicating machines with a singular purpose, to convert all matter into more of themselves. Dr. Sun studied the tactical displays. They're methodical. Each expansion follows the same pattern. Bo nodded. They are perfectly predictable. That is their strength and weakness. As they watched, alarm signals flashed across the monitoring stations. A junior officer rushed to Commander Bo. Hegemony ships detected, reported the officer. 3 capital vessels approaching from Sector 7. Bo frowned. That's impossible. Our models predicted activity in Sector 9. They've changed their pattern, said Admiral Park quietly. The command center erupted into activity as Bo issued orders. Deploy defensive fleet. Standard Protocol 7. On the main screen, Council ships moved into formation, beautiful, organic-looking vessels that contrasted sharply with the angular, metallic shapes of the approaching hegemony ships. We should return to our observation room, Bo told the humans. This area will be busy. But before they could leave, a blinding flash filled the viewscreen. The station shuddered violently. Direct hit to our main fleet, shouted an officer. They bypassed our detection grid. More impacts rocked the station. Lights flickered and several command consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Commander Bo was thrown across the room, crystal body cracking against a bulkhead. Station shields at 30%, reported a surviving officer. Communications array destroyed. Kim looked around at the chaos. The council officers moved with precision but seemed unable to adapt to the unexpected situation. Their training had prepared them for standard scenarios, not surprise attacks. They need help, whispered Dr. Sun. Admiral Park was already moving. He knelt beside the injured commander. Bo, your fleet needs direction. Let me assist. Bo's crystalline features flickered weakly. The observation ban. Will get us all killed if we follow it right now, finished Park. After a moment's hesitation, Bo nodded and handed Park the command insignia. Park took control immediately. Dr. Sun, analyze those hegemony ships. Ambassador Kim, you have the best diplomatic training, coordinate the station's personnel. The humans moved with practiced efficiency, falling back on crisis management skills developed during Earth's climate wars. Admiral Park studied the tactical display. They're using the moon's magnetic field to mask their approach vectors, he observed. Redirect our remaining ships to these coordinates. Dr. Sun discovered that the station's sensor array could be recalibrated to detect distortions in the magnetic field. Kim organized the station's crew into emergency teams, his diplomatic training helping him communicate effectively across species barriers. As the battle unfolded, the hegemony ships pressed their attack, expecting the Council forces to follow standard defensive protocols. Instead, they encountered constantly shifting tactics that exploited environmental factors they had ignored. Bring our ships into the radiation shadow, ordered Park. Then reverse engines at full power. The Council vessels disappeared into the moon's radiation wake, then suddenly burst forward, catching the hegemony ships in a crossfire they never anticipated. 3 hours later, the hegemony forces retreated, leaving behind one destroyed ship and 2 damaged ones, an unprecedented victory for the Council. As emergency repairs continued around them, Commander Bo approached the humans, his cracked body partially healed. You were instructed to observe only, he said. His voice was neutral, but his crystalline features shimmered with what might have been respect. We observed that you needed help, replied Kim simply. Bo studied them for a long moment. The Council will need to reconsider its position on humans. He paused. And I will need to file a very interesting report. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council sparkled with light reflected from 1,000 crystalline surfaces. Representatives from 300 species filled the circular room, their murmurs creating a gentle hum that echoed through the vast space. At the center stood Ambassador Kim and his team, the first humans to address the full council. Elder June presided from the highest seat, his ancient eyes surveying the assembly. We gather today to decide humanity's place among the stars, he announced, his voice carrying effortlessly through the chamber. The events at Outpost Sentinel have forced us to reconsider our initial conditions. The chamber darkened as recordings from the battle played above the central platform. Council members watched intently as humans directed the defense against the hegemony attack. Many shifted uncomfortably in their seats. For 10,000 years, continued June, the Council has maintained peace through order and predictability. Humans represent neither. He gestured toward Kim. Yet we cannot deny what we have witnessed. Kim stepped forward. He had spent days preparing for this moment, knowing that humanity's future among the stars hung in the balance. Honored Council, he began, we understand your fears. Our history shows we have often feared ourselves. Images of Earth's wars appeared briefly overhead. But fear cannot be the foundation of our relationship. The representatives from the Gene Empire, once humanity's first contact and now their strongest advocates, rose from their seats. The Genes stand with Earth, announced their speaker. We once feared humans. Now we respect them. Other voices joined the debate as the Council deliberated. Some argued for maintaining the original restrictions, while others suggested that human unpredictability might be the very thing needed against the hegemony's logical perfection. As the discussion continued, Admiral Park leaned toward Kim. They're afraid to let us fight, but they can't afford to keep us sidelined, he whispered. After hours of debate, June called for silence. A proposal has been formed, he announced. It requires a 3/4 majority to pass. The terms appeared in glowing script above the chamber. Earth will join the Galactic Council as a full member. Humans cannot serve as conventional warriors in interspecies conflicts but may serve as military advisors, strategists, and instructors. A new galactic law will codify these terms. The vote proceeded slowly as each species registered their position. When the final tally appeared, more than 80% had approved. The motion carries, declared June. Let the new law be recorded, the human combat doctrine is established. 6 months later, the Terran Strategic Institute opened its doors on Earth's moon. The massive complex hosted military officers from across the galaxy, all coming to study human tactical thinking. Admiral Park, now Director Park, guided visitors through the training halls. We don't teach them to fight like humans, he explained to Ambassador Kim during an inspection. We teach them to think like humans. To adapt, to innovate, to see beyond rigid patterns. In a large simulation chamber, Dr. Sun led alien officers through a recreation of ancient Earth battles, from Thermopylae to Midway. Notice how in each case, the numerically inferior force found environmental advantages, she pointed out. Terrain, weather, timing, these factors matter more than technology or numbers. The results were soon evident throughout Council space. Within a year, previously stalemated conflicts turned in the Council's favor. Hegemony expansion slowed for the first time in centuries as their perfect predictability became a weakness against forces now trained in human tactical flexibility. Deep within hegemony space, machine intelligences analyzed the changing situation. In a vast computational chamber, the primary node processed battle reports showing unexpected defeats. The biological alliance has introduced a chaos factor, concluded the analysis. Probability modeling no longer produces reliable outcomes. For the first time in its existence, the void hegemony experienced the machine equivalent of uncertainty. After extensive calculations, the primary node reached a conclusion that would have been unthinkable a year earlier. Recommend immediate ceasefire negotiations, it determined. Further conflict presents unacceptable risk factors. On Earth, a celebration marked the first anniversary of Council membership. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the rebuilt United Nations Plaza where first contact had occurred. General Jean, once a fierce opponent of humanity, now addressed the graduating class of the Terran Strategic Institute. My ancestors encountered humans in battle, he told the assembled officers. They taught us the most important lesson in galactic military history. He looked out over the mixture of species before him. In space, all species can be dangerous. But only humans turn defeat into victory. Ambassador Kim watched from the sidelines, thinking about how far they had come. A voice beside him interrupted his thoughts. Your people have changed the galaxy in just 1 year, said Elder June. I wonder what you will do in a century. Kim smiled. Build peace, I hope. After all, the greatest human strategy isn't how to win wars. What is it then? Asked June. Figuring out how to avoid them altogether, replied Kim, looking up at the stars that were no longer beyond reach.